Chapter 8, Lesson 1, Solving Quadratic Equations. Okay, so far we've learned this year about solving quadratic equations is to solve by factoring. In this chapter, we're going to focus on the other ways to solve quadratic equations. The first thing we're going to do, remember that quadratics are in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Well, the first form we're going to work on quadratics is where there is no b term. When there is no bx term, that makes it pretty easy to solve. We are going to solve it just by using square roots, but we are going to leave our answer in root form. So the first one here says x squared equals 50. So that we're going to take the square root of both sides. So it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 50. And then we need to simplify that down into root form. So I'm going to ask myself, what is the biggest perfect square that goes into 50 evenly? Which is 25 times 2. The 25 gets to come out, and the 2 has to stay inside because we can't break it down or take the square root of it. And the square root of 25 is 5. On the second one, the first thing I need to do is add 14. Then I'm going to divide by 2, and then take the square root. And 7 cannot be square rooted or broken down any further, so my final answer is plus or minus the square root of 7. On this one, the squared is outside the parentheses, so the first thing I'm going to do is take the square root of both sides. And 12 breaks up into 4 times 3. The 4 gets to come out, and the 3 stays. So I have x plus 1 equals plus or minus 2 square root of 3. And then to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract the 1. And because I want to put it in standard form, I'm going to put the negative 1 that I subtracted first, and then my roots second. So in this one, I'm going to first take the square root, which is 3. Then subtract the 5 to the front. Now, since they're like terms, I'm going to simplify. So I have negative 5 plus 3 would give me negative 2. And negative 5 minus 3 would give me negative 8. Okay, on this one, we're doing the same process, except for when we take the square root of this one, it's a negative 16. So the negative is going to come out as I, and the 16 is going to come out as 4. So then I will have 2x minus 5 equals plus or minus 4i. Then I'm going to add the 5 to the front and then divide everything by 2. Okay, the next thing I want to do is take down these notes on how to complete the square. So starting this one, I'm going to start by adding 4. Then I'm going to take half of the middle term, square it, and add it to both sides. So half of the middle term would be 1. I'm going to square it, which is 1, and add it to the right side. So that would give me 5. Now it's set up to look just like the square root properties that we did on the last slide. So first I'm going to take the square root. It doesn't simplify, and then I'm going to move the negative 1 to the front. On the second one, notice that I've already moved the c term. So I'm going to start with taking half of the middle term, which is 2, square it, and add it to the right side. So that would give me 3 plus 4, which is 7. Now it looks like the other problems where I just take the square root, it doesn't simplify, and then I move the 2 in front. On this one, the first thing I'm going to do is add the 1. Then take half the middle term, which is 7 halves, square it, and add it to the right. So that would give me 1 plus 7 halves squared is 53 over 4. Then I'm going to take the square root. It's 53 over 4. The 4 can come out as a 2, and the 53 gets circled. So I have x minus 7/2 equals plus or minus square root of 53 over 2. And then add the 7/2 in front. These are like terms, so now I'm going to combine it for a final answer of 7 plus or minus the square root of 53 all over 2. Okay, go ahead and pause here and take these notes. So what this is saying is that we can't have a leading coefficient. Where those aren't the right examples. Where are they? Well, we'll do number 4. So first thing I'm going to do is divide everything by 2 because we want our leading coefficient to be 1. Now I can complete the square like I did on the last section. So I'm going to take half of the middle term, square it, and I should have also added the 1/2 over here. So I have 1/2 plus 7/2 squared, which is 51 over 4. Then take the square root. Circle the 51 and bring out the 4 as 2. So I have x plus 7/2 equals plus or minus the square root of 51 over 2. Subtract the 7/2 to the front and combine it with the like term of the square root of 51. So it's 7 plus or minus square root of 51 all over 2. Number 5 starts as 3x squared minus 4x equals 4. And divide everything by 3. Then I'm going to take half the middle term, which is 2/3, square it, and add it to the right side. So I have 4/3 plus 2/3 squared, which is 16/9. So then I have x minus 2/3 equals plus or minus square root of 16/9, which both get to come out. So x minus 2/3 equals plus or minus 4/3. Add the 2/3 to the front, which gives me x equals, and they're like terms, so I have 2/3 plus 4/3 for the first one, which is 2. And then 2/3 minus 4/3, which is negative 2/3.